I've said before that Pentonville is the worst jail I've ever been in. Yeah, my opinion is the worst jail. Well, the worst jail I've ever been in. It's depressing. Like you see those big gates approaching when you're on Sweatbox. I've never had. I never get so down as what I do as when I see those big old Victorian gates of Pentonville, because it's a docile. It's a docile. I mean, just to give an example, yeah, of what we're talking about, yeah. These are just some headlines that I just quickly just whipped up off the internet, right? About Pentonville. Didn't even have to look that hard. 2021, Daily Mail, female prison worker, 26, who had sex with an inmate in his cell, jail for 8 months. I've said before that happens all the time. I've seen it happen in Pentonville, not watched it happen, but I was on G Wing in Pentonville before, and it was and two separate screws, one on the fours and one on the threes, just for example, got caught with at the same time with two different inmates, not with like the same inmate. Like one got caught with one and one got caught with the other at the same time. It happens all the time. Any jail I've ever stayed in for any amount of time, it's happened. I mean, the last time I basically was watching it, seeing it, knew it was happening. It was happening in Chelmsford. Basically, bang opposite me, a screw and an inmate. One from 2000. This is 2011. Yeah, this is just this one's from 2011, right? And this just proves that it's just been getting worse. Like it was crap back then. I'm sure I was there. I've been there back then. But it weren't like it's all of a sudden got bad. I mean, Decay in Pentonville, swamped with drugs and prisoners do nothing all day. That was in 2011, mate. Swamped with drugs and prisoners do nothing all day. And it's not got better, it's got worse. I mean, back then, it showed that 15, like from random drug tests, it showed that 15% of prisoners have something in their system. That was 2011. It's always, it was, I put it to you, it was much higher. Like, in my opinion, it would have been much higher. But, you know, not everyone gets caught. So they're just the ones that have got caught. 15% of everyone in Pentonville is on it. That's a lot. Because, like, it's only meant to hold 694 people. This is when I say, like, jail's a money maker, yeah? Right? Because don't forget, yeah, this is 2011, that last headline that I read, yeah? Pentonville's meant to hold 694 people. It currently holds, this is, like, currently, this ain't 2011, 1,081 people, yeah? It's double, isn't it, basically? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's all about that, isn't it? Just cramming them in. If they could get away with it, they'd have 3-4 man cell in every single cell. Every single cell would be a 3-4 man cell. You wouldn't have. That's the real reason that the smoking ban come in, isn't it? That's the real reason that the smoking ban come in prison. Forget all screws gonna get cancer if they walk into someone's cell and all that. If you go to jail and you go, well, I'm a smoker, he's a non-smoker, you can't put them in together. You can't put them in together, can you? Yeah, you can only bang up a smoker with a smoker, a non-smoker with a non-smoker. Yeah, human rights and all that, and rightly so. But if everyone's a non-smoker, if everyone is given a vape on thing, because a vape don't really count, does it? They can just cram you in. Don't matter. I'm a non-smoker. I'm a smoker. Just you all in there together. Yeah, if they could get away with it, they'd have. There's cells in there that have. Actually, no, there's not. Not when I was there, anyway. I was about to say there was cells in there that were 3-man, but there wasn't. There weren't. Certain jails do. Bedford 3-4 man dorm cells that I've been in. Elmley. I've never been in those. I was in a 3-man cell in Elmley. Yeah. Back to Pentonville. 694 people was meant to hold, and it holds 1,081. That just proves what I've always thought. Jail is about making money, cram you in, and keep earning 35 grand a year off you. Since 2019, these are all reports that I found on the internet quickly as well. Since 2019, we're in 2022 now. There's been an overall 10% increase in violence. Yeah, increase. It's not getting safer. It's getting more dangerous, isn't it? Said These findings here that I'm reading out were from a prison inspector's report that was written in 2019. Yeah, said the negative attitude from certain staff indicated deep-rooted cultural problems that got in the way of doing positive work with the prisoners. Now that to me is a polite way of saying some of the screws are racist. Yeah. I'm not saying all screws are racist. I'm not saying prisoners ain't racist. I'm just saying this report is saying that some screws are racist. In my opinion, that's the polite way of saying it. Deep-rooted cultural problems. Yeah, we'll just get rid of them. If the reports picked them out, yeah, and considering that most of the people in Pentonville are going to be black or brown, aren't they? Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, 100%. Most of them are black or brown in there, like, and most of the screws are going to be white. So if there's racist screws in there, get rid of them. The reports told you who they are. Get rid of them, but they won't. In my opinion, anyway. Nearly a third of prisoners locked up during the day, all day, and their activity centres had a poor attendance. Their silly little activity centres wouldn't be able to hold it. If everyone decided that they wanted to go and do it, they wouldn't be able to do it anyway because there's too many of them there. So a third of everyone don't do nothing all day. I would say it's higher than that. And this was in 2019, don't forget. Terms of safety, until very recent, there had been a lack of clear accountability at every level in terms of safety. That's aimed at the staff, isn't it? They're just not taking any responsibility for any sort of violence. A culture of violence and poor behaviour too easily went unpunished. Again, that's on the screws, isn't it? If they let us get away with it, and I'm including myself in that because I'm a ex-prisoner. If they let you get away with it, you're going to do it, innit? It's on the screws to enforce the law and whatnot. 2016, there was an alleged murder, and I say alleged because the boys that were tried for it were found not guilty. So, well, they were found not guilty. Someone died, but it's just an alleged murder, innit? Because no one was found guilty of it. But the papers, I'm only going by what the papers are saying. It was over drones and drugs, like massive amounts getting flown to the wings on the drones, knives in it. The boys that were on trial like admitted that knives were getting sold on the wing. You know, lock knives are about everywhere. Yeah, drugs is rife. I've said drugs is rife, man. 2019, this crime happened in Pentonville. Geezer, I say geezer, weren't convicted until 2021. And I have to try and say code for this word, yeah, because YouTube and all that. Grape, yeah. 2 cellmates. One that was only in jail for a driving offence. One that was in jail for robbery. The driving offence fella, young kid, had voluntarily been remanded until his sentencing because he thought it would obviously do him in good stead and all that. By the time he actually got sentenced, because he's never been nicked before, never had no trouble before, he got a suspended sentence anyway, so he didn't even need to hand himself in and do the remand time. Yeah? Anyway, his cellmate, who was on remand for robbery, basically raped him and was telling him that it was designed to prove that you ain't going to be a snitch, basically, yeah? So I'm doing this to prove, so you can prove to me that you're not a snitch. Kid had to stand up in court and everything. He was only 19. The one that got abused. Stood up in court and give his evidence, and the geezer got convicted of it. I mean, that was in 2019. That happened. So it just gets worse and worse and worse, doesn't it? Yeah, like I just said, I've been at jail too many times, and I've seen and pulled up to too many jails there in sweatboxes. But Pentonville, the sight of it just gives you a dread feeling in your gut. It's a shithole. Filth on another level. I mean, it's an old Victorian jail anyway, yeah. So it's falling apart. It's decaying. It should be knocked down. I'm not sure. I might be talking. I'm sure I've heard of this, yeah, but it can't be knocked down. Well, for one, it's only too much money off the prisoners, isn't it? But I'm sure some of the buildings in the actual prison, because it's not all just one building, in it. There's loads of buildings inside, because it's from like built in like the 18 whatever 30s or whatever. So it's been around a long time. There's loads of different buildings in there, and some of the windows are like grade 1 listed, protected or whatever it is, or I forgot the name of it. Yeah, it can't be demolished. Shit, crap old decaying prison can't be knocked down because certain parts of the buildings are classed as, I don't know, antiques. I don't know. I forgot the name of it. Yeah. Just for instance, exercise yards. People chuck their rubbish out. Yeah. Not even exercise yards. Yeah. Some of your windows won't be facing the exercise yards. Some of your windows will be facing, I don't know, a fence that hardly anyone walks around. Yeah. So you chuck your food out your window. You chuck it out the window on the other way. Eventually, it's going to get cleaned out by the cleaners if it's on the exercise yard. Yeah, this is dirty enough. Yeah, it's just when it's windy and there's crisp packets flying around, and all you're doing is feeding creatures like rats and pigeons and seagulls and whatever. But if you're on a quiet side and you're chucking food out, because you don't want it in your cell. Yeah, that's like, you know, you're not going to chuck it in your waste paper bin that you've got in your cell, because you might not be at your cell again for like 24 hours. You don't want that stinking in your cell. Some people, you know, are worried about it blocking their toilet, so they launch it out the window. It is what it is, isn't it? Yeah. And I'm not just talking about food. I'm talking about, you know, they might have a towel that they chuck out, or a pair of tracksuit bottoms, or a pair of socks that they might have wiped their arse on because they ain't had no toilet roll. Yeah. Chuck that out the window, and it just gets left because it's on the quiet side of the jail. I'm talking that thick of rubbish that you could just walk along. You can't see floor. It'd just be that thick for like from the wing until, I don't know, whatever fence is stopping it or whatever, you know. And that's disgusting. I mean, if you're on the ones, yeah, which the ground floor, right, and you're looking out your window, should be at least like that much between the window and the floor, innit? But if you're looking out your window and it's basically, you could basically put your hands out onto the rubbish, yeah. How long has that taken to build up? How bad would that smell? What's living in it? What's breeding in it? What diseases are being carried in it? I mean, that's what you're breathing in constantly if you're on the ones and scrap. I mean, again, it's like, you know, people chuck stuff out the window, and if it gets caught up in the barbed wire, it just gets left. I mean, that's a small thing, but you know, when you go into the jail, first of all, yeah, when you first get in, there's how many wings? 8 wings, I think. Right. So you go on. So you drive through onto with a sweatbox. You're depressed as anything. You're depressed. I'm depressed. Yeah, I am feeling it. Yeah, I'm sitting. When you're sitting outside the prison waiting to get in, because you don't get let in straight away. You'll be sitting outside there for time. Yeah, from the moment you get to the prison to getting off the bus with all the rigmarole about all the stops and all this stuff you have to do, you could talk about another hour. How many vans in front of you as well? It's a big old nick. Could be 4 or 5 vans in front of you. That's 2 hour wait. That's a 3 hour wait. Ah, see there, waiting to get off the bus. Every numpty's talking and blah blah blah. All the YOs that are swamped in, that are packed in with you now, all pretending they love it there and all that, and they're chatting away in the sweatbox. All pretending it's where they want to be, and they love it and they can't wait to get on the wing and see all the man them. So, oh, shut up, mate. Get off the bus. Get put in another holding cell. You just get put in holding cells after holding cells, moving towards the chair and the boss chair, like, you know, it's basically like a big metal detector that you sit on if you've got anything up your ass or whatever, you know. You get onto the induction wing, A wing is the induction wing. A wing. You'll be sitting around on there till about midnight, waiting to see the nurse and all this, and they'll ask you if you're a drug addict or do you want any methadone. They'll try and push methadone down your throat. I mean, I've gone there before. Told them I'm not a drug addict. You know, in the police station, I'd had a drug test as well, was negative, and they're still offering me. They're offering me methadone on the induction wing, offering me to go over onto E wing. What? A lot of boys would say they were offering it to everyone that night. Everyone they was offering, everyone that was coming in on induction, myself included, they was offering methadone. The amount of boys that took it as well, just because they was thinking, oh, why not? We'll just get a buzz. I mean, that's dangerous, mate. Offering people that's not even a drug addict methadone. Yeah. A-wing. I mean, if you're lucky, you get off there straight away. If not, you usually on there for about a week, ain't you? Week on the induction wing, few days to a week. Once you get off the induction wing, you're more than likely going to end up on G wing. It's the main wing that general population go on. I mean, you got C, D, and G for general population. But C and D have smaller wings than G, man. I mean, G's like literally. I'm sure it's one of the biggest wings in Europe. It's massive. Yeah, it's massive. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. You got 5 landings, I think. You got 5 landings. It's a big old wing. It's a big old wing, and it's a shit old wing, mate. C and D wing are smallish wings. When I was there, D wing was like an enhanced wing. Work was enhanced wing sort of thing, like not really enhanced, like a worker's wing. I don't think it is anymore. I mean, E wing, the ones on E wing is the block. If you're really unlucky, you get straight off the sweatbox and they go down to the block. You've been here before. You had it up before. You was making us pull our hair out before. Down the block you go. E2 to E5, the drug wing. Is it F wing is the, I don't know, stabilizer wing or something. F wing, stabilizer wing. And F5, you know, F1, F4 is a stabilizer wing or something like that. IDTS wing or something. And the F5 is the vulnerable prisoners wing. The numbers, yeah. Isn't a massive, which goes to prove again, like that's not all the prisoners on F5. Yeah, ain't gonna be. That whole jail is not only going to hold that amount of wrong-uns on F5. The jail's going to be flooded with them, and you're just never going to know it. Fact. Yeah, every jail is flooded with wrong-uns. And I say wrong-uns, pedos, rapists, all those sort of wrong-uns. Jails are flooded with them, man. You think Pentonville only holds that amount of things on F5? Every jail was full of them. That's coming. Screw told me that time ago. You've got healthcare unit. 22 beds on there for the 22 patient beds on there because they're classed as patients, isn't it? I mean, I feel for anyone with any sort of mental problems that ends up on there because you're not getting better on those sort of wings. Stuff I've talked about it before. I've seen that geezer that used to basically rub his blanket on his. He didn't have a penis. It was gone. Like I don't know if he cut it off or what, yeah, but he used to rub his blanket on it and getting off on it all day long. I mean, the dirty process I've seen down there, unreal. There's times in Pentonville where I get pulled down there once a day. Once a day I'll be going down there, or I'll be down, and I'm talking down there all day, not for a quick one. You know, I'll get called down there in the morning and I'll still be cleaning the same cell in the afternoon. I won't have gone back for lunch or nothing. 2 of us down there. Mate, people go down there with problems and get worse. I mean, I've thought about it before. Oh, you know, it's not really a jail, is it? It's your class as a patient. I get down there and all that, but I've never tried it. I know people that have, but seeing it firsthand, I'm glad I never ever tried it, and I'm even, you know, imagine if I was successful as well. I got put on there with all them sort of people, man. Oh, and I'm not digging them out, but they shouldn't be there. They shouldn't be there. That's a simple fact. Those sort of people should be in an actual hospital where they can get proper treatment, not being bugs. But and I've seen screws do it. I've seen like the ones that are the ones that take up a lot of the screws time and all that, always on the bell and always asking for stuff. People that cause trouble. But don't forget, I'm talking about on the healthcare unit. People with problems, man. I've not all screws. It would be like the same screw or the same two screws going to the doors and just winding prisoners up. Usually the screws that come from the block. You know what I mean? They're just winding him up all day, and he's thinking, even us as like biocleans, thinking, drop him out, will you? The geezer's not gonna relax, is he? With you at the door, winding him up to his face, like. There was a geezer down the block that used to do dirty protests constantly. He weren't from the healthcare unit. I'm presuming he probably had something wrong with him, but he was one of them ones. If he didn't get what he wanted, he liked being down the block, yeah, for a start, yeah. If you've ever been in jail before, we know the ones I'm talking about. Some certain boys just like being down the block, like the peace, like being away from everyone. They don't function well being on wings around people, and they like the one-on-one interaction with the screws, you know. It's whether it's good attention or bad attention, it's attention, isn't it? Like they talk to the screw, they say, this is what I want, you're not gonna do it, I'm just gonna kick off. This is what they do down the block. It's what he did down the block. And he kicked off, he shit up, and the screws were like, would leave him in there for a week, just doing it every day. And right, fair enough, you're punishing him, yeah. But I never understood that with the boys that did that, because it's me that's cleaning it. I say me, but it's prisoners that clean it, the people that are on the bio team. But yeah, like some of them screws, so some of them block screws would be down there. Like as I'm cleaning up one cell, he'd be doing another one. He'd be in another cell doing another dirty protest. I think, well, I'll be back down in a week once the screws have decided that he's done enough. But it'd be the same screws that at his door, winding him up, making him do more. And you're thinking, you mugs. Talking about it, that's just come into my head. When I was doing the bios, I forgot the exact year, right? They had a camera crew in from BBC or Channel 4 filming it. It was a documentary about Pentonville, yeah? It wasn't just about the block and the bio, yeah? But I was down the block one day cleaning the bio, cleaning a dirty protest, I should say. And the camera crew was down there, right? Wanting to film a dirty protest getting cleaned up, yeah? Okay, fair enough. They go around all the prisoners, yeah, and asking us for our permission whether they can show our face. I said no, right? I said, pixelate it, right? If anyone can ever remember this, there's a scene in it where like someone's holding a bag open, yeah, the clean man holding a bag open while the dirty man's cleaning like all the crap, and the clean man's got his face pixelated holding the bin bag. That's me, yeah. I weren't having none of it. I was like, listen, mate, enough people know I've been banged up, yeah. I don't need anyone else. As I'm talking it into YouTube. Yeah, right. And it's the prisoner's job to clean up, to do a bio, to clean up, right? That's what we get paid for. It's part of our job is to clean those things. Yeah, there's only about 6 of us in the whole jail that does it. This one time that the camera crew are down there, and it's always prisoners do it. And don't think I'm not even slagging off screws for not doing it for not cleaning up a dirty protest. They're not getting paid for it. It's not part of their job description. They're not going to do it, are they? I'm employed to do it. I'm going to clean it, and they're going to let me do it gladly. Why do you want to clean up human feces, right? Anyway, this time I'm there with the camera crew. I'm there. We're putting our white overalls on, ready to go. I'm the clean man, so I'm not really doing that much. You need a clean man and a dirty man, because otherwise you can just contaminate everything. If you're cleaning up bodily waste, you can't just go in there and come out and go in and come out and go in, because you're just contaminating everything. Once you're in, you stay in, and the clean man will pass you stuff. And that was my job. Right? Yeah. I was passing him stuff this day, just giving him the stuff, standing outside with all the fresh air, passing him his stuff, holding the bag open, going, oh. the screws are putting their whites on, white overalls on, going, kiss one of them. I'm like, what? Kiss one? All right. Putting it on, and he's giving interviews to the cameras. Yeah, we do this once a week, or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what? And this is the same bully screw that's winding it, what used to wind everyone up as well, yeah? Yeah, blonde hair, I forgot his name. He was a right lemon. Right lemon. This would have been 2011, 12, 13. So if I'm going to remember the blonde screw from down the block at Pentonville, mate, it was a lemon, man. Always winding prisoners up, making prisoners do dirty protests, winding up the people at healthcare. I've seen him do that as well. And he's putting the whites on, and he's going in there as if he's a dirty to help out, acting like he's the number one, doing the main job. While the other geezer that's actually gone in there to do it, the dirty man, the real dirty man, is just sort of like his number two. I mean, great, isn't it? Yeah, like less work for us to do, yeah. But the screw is genuinely pretending that he does dirty protests once a week just for the camera. I mean, that's how much of a div he was, mate. A proper plum. I've mentioned plums before. This geezer was a plum and all. Blonde haired screw. 2011, 12. What a lemon he was, mate. So wind up prisoners, getting them to do dirty protests. Then he used to pretend that he was actually cleaning up next man's shit. Let's break it down, yeah. He was actually sniffing and breathing in, and maybe getting a flick here and there, a little fleck here and there as he's cleaning it onto his skin, just for the camera. What? Just so he could show off to his bird that he cleans up shit. That's the sort of man he really was. He wanted people to think he was cleaning up shit as a living. You can imagine the lies he was telling when he used to go home at night. Oh, I had another terrible day, babe. Another bio. Oh, like, oh. I know. What a plum, mate. What an absolute moron. I forgot about that until I was talking about that, yeah. He was pretending to do bios for the telly. So if anyone can ever remember that, or look for a clip on YouTube and they see it, they see me standing there pixelated with my face and a screw cleaning up the shit. What a moron. What a moron. An absolute dick of a man, mate. J Wing, Jubilee Wing, next door to A Wing is the drug-free wing. I don't know why they call it drug-free wing. I really don't know why they call any jail. I've been on a drug-free wing. All jails are meant to be drug-free. You're not going to go into a jail where they go, well, this wing is a drug-free wing. But this wing, it's a free-for-all, mate. You go on there. There's path, there's it. All wings are meant to be drug-free wings, aren't they? But Jubilee Wing, J Wing was a drug-free wing. Now, I can remember standing there with the door locked between J Wing and A Wing and getting passing gear backwards and forwards to the drug-free wing. I mean, they try and keep the E-wing prisoners away from everyone, yeah, and F-wing, because they don't want them selling their meds to people. But when I was there anyway, on G-wing was a big massive wing. So say you had G-wing, linked onto it was E-wing, and across there was F-wing, yeah. So you had G-wing, E-wing, and F-wing. And when you come out onto exercise on G-wing, this little square bit here, you'd share the yard. Like you'd be out of E-wing would be looking at you from that yard as well, yeah. So you could go up to the windows and there, yeah. So you're walking about this little square bit. This is G-wing. This is the exercise bit. This is E-wing. You can go up to the windows on E-wing, yeah. Bits and bobs. You can chat away, yeah. But the people you really want to see are the ones on F-wing, yeah. And there's like a gate. E and F-wing have their own exercise yard, yeah. And there's a gate cutting off that exercise yard. Between our exercise yard and E and F-wing's exercise yard, there's a gate, yeah. And you can go up to the gate. You can talk to the people through the gate. You can't see no one through the gate, yeah, because there's another gate there, so you can just chat, talk. So I'd be standing on G-wing exercise yard, calling over onto F-wing exercise yard, because they was out at the same time as us, yeah. back then. So and so, baiters, you like, bring 4 mil back when you're coming from exercise. And this was always a process. Yeah. Just depending on who got called in first, right? G-Wing get called. If you never get called in together, say G-Wing exercise finished first, we'd go in. Our yard would be clear, and then F-Wing would come in. And there was like a little tunnel that F-Wing would have to go through, yeah? And it used to go, basically the tunnel went through our exercise yard, G-Wings, yeah? So if you're standing there at the tunnel, you grab something, yeah, through a little gap that you'd created or whatever. But they always make sure you got called in first. So I used to you just have to stand there just ignoring it, because eventually, you know, within the last 10 people of G-Wing going in, they'd call F-Wing in as well. So you'd be like, hurry up. The screws would be like walking over to you going, look, Aldrin, come on. And they know exactly what you're doing. They know what I was doing. Now, I say I definitely wasn't the only one doing this. Yeah, there'd be like a huddle of people standing there, mate. Mate is coming through. The screws would be there at your back, like trying to pull your back like that. You just got to grab it and just ignore the screws. Just ignore them. Just grab it. Don't swipe it. Just put, what you got? Nothing. Run off back to the wing. Back across the exercise yard. Back onto the wing. Screws did not care. Did not care. I mean, they don't care about the violence and all this that's going on there. Do you think they honestly care about a couple of boys standing at the end of the yard waiting for F-Wing? Come on. The jail tries so desperately to separate the rest of F-Wing from everyone. There's always where there's a will, there's a way, isn't there? I've said it before about these the visits there. I mean, the biggest parcel I ever see someone take was there. I mean, I've told you about that. I mean, when I jumped on it, I took a couple of ounces because the geezer couldn't hold it and hide it. So I held a couple of ounces. Matey held a couple of ounces. The person whose parcel it was held a couple of ounces. 6 ounces of weed, 5 ounces of crack, 5 grams of crack, and a phone that looked like a BMW key fob. Wrapped up. You can imagine how many times that's wrapped up as well. Got the coffee wrapped around it to hide the smell. Coffee hides all drug smells, by the way. Dogs ain't that clever. I know that for a fact. They're only looking for their ball, weren't they? If I find this, can I have my ball? Put a bit of coffee on it. They ain't interested because they're not going to get a ball for finding coffee. Yeah, that was massive. I got robbed in that jail. I've robbed people in that jail. I've had fights in that jail, and I've been paid to do people in that jail. But weigh people in. I've spoke about that. Assault in a shower. If I was gonna just say like, but all that though, with all that, if I was gonna just describe Pentonville, I'd say filthy. Filthy. Because it's not the most violent. I mean, it's up there. It's a second. Scrubs is the most violent. I mean, the amount of violence I've seen in Scrubs over a short amount of time that I was there. I was only there for 6 months. It's unreal. But I see some things in there, you know. In the Ville, I mean, I see my mate get annihilated by the screws. You know, I spoke about that. Screws absolutely poggered me mate. Pulled him out, and a trail of blood coming behind him. I've seen. Do you know? Yeah, do you know what? I might keep all the other I keep all the violence that I've seen there, because I'll probably do another video about that. But not all things are bad there. Not all things are bad there. I had it cushy there. I've had it cushy. I mean, I spent so much there back in my younger day. I actually had it, considering our, you know, the dread that I felt when you get there and all that I said. Once you're there, innit? Like, it's the same with anywhere. No matter how bad something you think is going to be, once you're there, your brain just goes, right, let's deal with it. Yeah, unless you crumble. But I've had it cushy in there. Good job. You know, on the bio, cleaning up the dirty process and that, you get a lot of money for that. in jail. So, you know, I was getting good money for that. I was on D wing for a while, which was a good wing back then to be on. Little things like you had a separate toilet. No, I say a separate toilet. You had another room with like a cowboy's door on it that had a toilet and a sink in. It's like, what a luxury, mate. Um, yeah, I mean, even when I worked in Bix, I used to have to go and clean the officer's mess. Officer's mess is where people is where the screws go and have their food. They're not eating our food. They're not going to the canteen and buying the shit that we eat. And why would they? So they got a little cafe in the jail, the officer's mess, where they go and get their food and stuff, yeah, for lunch and stuff. Prisoners can work in there. One of my cellmates, when I was on D wing, worked in there. He used to leave at silly o'clock in the morning, and he'd come back with all the leftovers, like all the outside food. You know what I mean? An apple crumble and custard, or a lasagna, or a curry, all outside food. And once you've been in jail for like 18 months, 2 years, you eat. Your cellmates bringing back outside food every single night. Spotted dick. Oh, I've got one of them. I remember when we had to go and clean the officer's mess, yeah, when I worked in, well, it was the same thing. I worked in the Bix warehouse, right? Bix, British Institute of Cleaning Science. I basically was teaching people how to use a Hoover, mate. There was more to it. I'd teach people how to use clean carpets and clean graffiti and all that, right? I went through it. I was taught all of it, and I worked my way up and become a teacher, basically, assessor and a trainer. But part of the thing there, obviously, that's where all the cleaning equipment is. So other parts of the jail would call us out sometimes to go and clean. We used to have to go and clean the officer's mess, yeah. And you go in there, it was like a proper shop. There'd be like a fridge with all cokes and well anything, all your fizzy drinks there. There'll be like all biscuits for sale there, all chocolates and like Mars bar, all like proper sweets, biscuits, sweets, drinks, sandwiches, hot food over there. Big lumps of cheese, big dirty lumps of cheese, mate. Yeah. That's what we used to do. We used to go there with the like they look like massive blue industrial hoovers. They're like for sucking up water. And we take the lid off, the top lid, which is like the black motor. Take that off and just load up. When the screws ain't looking, we just load up the actual hoover bit. Yeah, it's meant to be full of water, but once you've used it, you go outside, you empty it out. It's empty, isn't it? Big blocks of cheese, big massive round cheese in there, chocolates, cans of drink. Lid back on, and I'm talking. This is heavy. This is heavy. I mean, the screws even like some of the work, like the screws are looking about, like looking at the empty thing. Like I say, screws, the chef or whatever it is, the number one in there that works in there, looking about all the empty stuff. But they can't work out they don't want to say nothing because we're all standing there like, how can we hide it? We ain't got no pockets. You know what I mean? Like, where have we put it? So they're looking, they're thinking, there's something on it. I can't say nothing because I'm just going to accuse all these boys of nicking and they haven't done nothing. All they've got to do is take the lid off the Hoover. We've done that loads of times, man. Done that loads. The good times are very few and far between in Pentonville, man. Very few and far between. Too many bad times in Pentonville. That's the thing. There's too many prolonged periods of crap in the Ville. I mean, that's why there's so much drugs. That's why so many people do so many drugs there because it's a horrible place to be. It's a horrible place. I mean, you do kit change once a week and you're swapping your dirty stuff for more dirty stuff. You know, you're swapping your bed sheets for bed sheets that could look worse than the ones you've just given in. What, blood and piss and shit and burns. You know, getting smelly socks back. No, yeah, here's a pair of my old dirty socks. I need some other socks back. They give you some dirty, smelly ones back. I mean, it's disgusting. Yeah, G-Wing is definitely the worst wing, isn't it? G-Wing. The cockroaches are unbelievable. I've said it about before. I've said before about the cockroaches climbing out the walls, out the sink, out the toilets, coming up from under the floor, coming under your cell. They're everywhere, man. Certain cells on G-Wing, the cockroaches are everywhere, and it's your worst nightmare. If you don't like insects, it's your worst nightmare. Turn your light off, and then you see your floor moving. What the yeah. Long and short of it, Pentonville is a dossole. Avoid it at all costs. If you break the law, you'll end up there. And if you do break the law, definitely don't. Remind yourself at your own request, because you might only get a suspended sentence at the end of it, and you could have cut out that whole nightmare. I feel for that kid, man, that got himself reminded at his own request and that happened to him. That's the Vildo, mate. Anyway, if you enjoyed that, hit the subscribe and we'll chat tomorrow. Adios.